Who Says Women Can't Be Doctors? The Story of Elizabeth Blackwell. Written by Tanya Lee Stone and illustrated by Marjorie Priceman. For Liza, who is strong and brave and will be anything she sets her mind to. This is written by the author. It's a little dedication. I'll bet you've met plenty of doctors in your life, and I'll bet lots of them were women. Well, you might find this hard to believe, but there once was a time when girls weren't allowed to become doctors. Okay, so let's look at this first image. Can anyone describe this image to me? What is the man in the picture doing? He's the doctor, right? And what is the woman doing? She's sweeping. So let's keep this picture in mind when we continue reading the story. It might tell us a lot about what is going to happen further. Back in the 1830s, there were lots of things girls couldn't be. Girls were only supposed to become wives and mothers, or maybe teachers or seamstresses. So let's take a look at the pictures and see if we can come up with the definition of the word seamstress. Has anyone heard that word before? Okay, a few of you? All right, don't tell what it is. We're gonna see if we can figure it out by this picture. So let's take a look at this woman in the window. What does it appear she's doing? Okay, she's sitting at a table. Good. What's this machine in front of her? What is she doing? It looks like she's sewing, right? So if she's sewing, what do we think a seamstress is? It's someone who sews, right? Typically, the word seamstress is a term that was used in the olden days, typically in England, to describe a woman who sewed clothing. So the word is typically referring to a woman, but very good. Being a doctor was definitely not an option. What do you think changed all of that? Or should I say who? Elizabeth Blackwell, that's who. A tiny wisp of a girl who wanted to explore every corner and who never walked away from a challenge. This was a girl who had once carried her brother over her head until he backed down from their fight. A girl who tried sleeping on the hardwood floor with no covers just to toughen herself up. So looking at the pictures, what can we say about Elizabeth? Okay, she's tough. Good. She's strong. Let's look at her face. She's mean. Okay, all very good descriptions. But she's not like your average girl, right? You wouldn't think that a girl would be able to lift her brother above her head, right? Very good. But you know, there are some strong girls out there. So Elizabeth is an example of a strong girl. A girl who climbed up to her roof and stretched out as far as possible with a spyglass to see what was happening on the other side of town. Can anyone come up with a synonym for spyglass based upon the picture? What does it look like to you? It looks like a telescope. Very good. But she hadn't always wanted to be a doctor. Actually, blood made her queasy. One time, her teacher used a bull's eyeball to show students how eyes work. Elizabeth was repulsed. Look at Elizabeth's face. It looks like what? Looks like she's going to get sick, right? Okay, very good. And she hadn't always wanted to help the sick. She had no patience for being sick herself. Whenever she felt ill, she simply went outside for a walk. Once, when she was little, she hid in a closet until she felt better. She hated anyone fussing over her. So why did she become the first woman doctor? Because one person believed she could and told Elizabeth she was just kind of smart, determined girl who would change the world. That person was Mary Donaldson. When Elizabeth was 24, she went to visit her friend who was very ill. Mary told Elizabeth that she would have much preferred being examined by a woman. She urged Elizabeth to consider becoming a doctor. Okay, so let's go back into this little part of the text. What sticks out to you? Why do you think the main point is for Elizabeth to become a doctor? That person was Mary Donaldson. When Elizabeth was 24, she went to visit her friend who was very ill. Mary told Elizabeth that she would have much preferred being examined by a woman. She urged Elizabeth to consider becoming a doctor. Okay, I see hands. All right, so why do you think so? Yes. Because her friend felt more comfortable. And why did the friend feel more comfortable? Because she was a woman. Very good. At first, Elizabeth could not believe her ears. Even if a girl could be a doctor, why would she want to be one? But Mary's idea gnawed at Elizabeth, a female doctor. Elizabeth thought about it the second she got up in the morning. She thought about it during sewing circles. She thought about it over tea. She even dreamed about it at night. Finally, Elizabeth asked doctors and friends. Some thought it was a good idea, but didn't think there was any way it could be done. Others said it wasn't right. Women are too weak for such hard work. Women aren't smart enough. Okay, why do we think some people didn't think that women could become doctors? Because some said that they were weak, okay? And who in this picture do we see saying it to Elizabeth? What do they have in common, these two people? They're both men, right? And based upon what we know from when this took place in this time period, let's flip back to the first page, or the second page, excuse me. So it says it was in the 1830s, right? So what do we know about the 1830s? There weren't any women doctors. Very good. So do you think that maybe the men might have been scared or didn't know if women could become a doctor? Right. I see a lot of nodding heads. Very good. Some people actually laughed at her. They thought she was joking. Elizabeth didn't see anything funny about a woman becoming a doctor. Elizabeth thought it was a fine idea, and her family supported her. She worked as a teacher to earn money and applied to a handful of medical schools, but they all sent back the same answer: no. No women allowed. She tried other schools. More letters arrived at her door. One by one, the answer was always the same: no, no, no. 28 no's in all, in different ways. The letters all said the same thing: women cannot be doctors. They should not be doctors. But Elizabeth didn't believe in couldn't or shouldn't. So how do we think Elizabeth is responding to the negativity or the no's? Is she going to give up? I see a lot of shaking heads. No, she's not. Let's continue on. She refused to give up. She was as stubborn as a mule. Quite rightly. One day, an envelope arrived from a college. She opened it and everything changed. The answer was yes! Elizabeth packed her bags for Geneva Medical School in upstate New York. The townspeople were expecting her. As she walked down the street, some pointed and stared. They whispered to themselves that she must be wicked or crazy. Elizabeth thought that at least the students wanted her there, except they didn't. The teachers had let the students vote on whether or not to allow Elizabeth to come, and the boys, figuring the school would never really accept a girl, said yes. They planned to turn the whole thing into a big joke, but the joke was on them. Their raucous laughter turned to silence as the ladylike Elizabeth took her seat. They wondered what kind of girl she was, the kind of girl who wouldn't take the bait. She thought a girl wouldn't be able to keep up. Some thought a girl wouldn't be able to keep up, except Elizabeth did keep up, often studying past midnight. Elizabeth proved she was as smart as any boy, and soon the boys wanted to know what Elizabeth thought about this or that. Okay, so let's look at this picture. What can we say about it? Look, Elizabeth's smiling, very good. It looks like they're becoming friends, very good. So yeah, it's exactly. So the boys at the school want to talk to Elizabeth and get her feelings and her opinion on, what she thinks about certain things in the medical field and certain doctor things. So they start to talk to her. Elizabeth proved she was as smart as any boy. And soon, all the boys wanted to know what Elizabeth thought about this or that. It took the townspeople longer to accept her. Some people are afraid of anything new or different, not Elizabeth. On January 23rd, 1849, Elizabeth graduated with the highest grades in the whole class. She had become the first woman doctor in America. Although many people were proud, others were angry. One doctor even wrote, "I hope for the honor of humanity that she will be the last." But she certainly was not. What do we have here? Who are these women? She's carrying a clipboard and a white coat, little flag. They're doctors, right? So, after reading that, what do we know about Elizabeth Blackwell? Okay, she was the first woman doctor. Very good. I want you to go back to your seats because we are going to do a journal exercise. And I want you to write about, I'm going to put it on the board, so don't worry. But after experiencing a woman doctor for the first time, how do you think people reacted to experiencing something different? Do you think it was a good thing that Elizabeth became a doctor? And I want you to write your response, and then we're gonna share it with a partner, and we're gonna talk about it as a class. Thank you for being so well behaved and quiet during the read aloud.